Welcome to the Dozen Trivia Tournament 4 Selection Special. I'm your host and commissioner, Jeff D. Lowe. This is where we will reveal the 12-team bracket for our 4th annual end-of-season tournament, where we crown our next champion. The Dozen Trivia Tournament 4 will be fully live for the first time ever this year. 4 first-round matches will air from the Barstool Chicago office on Monday, June 17th. 2 in the afternoon, and then a doubleheader in the evening. The second round will take place on Tuesday, June 18th, and Wednesday, June 19th, with doubleheaders each night, starting at 7 Eastern. And then finally on Thursday, June 20th, our Final Four live from the Riviera Theater in Chicago, with 3 matches starting at 8/7 Central. Tickets are on sale now for that Final Four event in the description below wherever you are watching. Before we reveal the bracket, let's go over how rankings and seeds are decided for the 12-team bracket. 50% of the seeding is decided by our computer rankings, which factor in wins, losses, OT losses, strength of wins and losses, as well as accuracy in questions and points scored. The other 50% is decided solely by you, the fans, who have voted on who they believe to be the top teams. After the bracket reveal, make sure to stick around because we will also be revealing who has won our end of season awards. Let's get right into it, though. Starting in the New Amsterdam Vodka region, the #1 overall seed is our regular season champion, ZD. It's been an unreal season for Dave Portnoy, Eddie, and Clem, especially Eddie, who set the single-season scoring record with a whopping 9.92 points per match. They played their least matches ever as a team, but only lost one time, finishing 7-1-0 and ending the year on a dominant run. After their lone loss to Bills quarterback Josh Allen on the Yak in Vegas, they won 4 straight matches over the Booze Ponies, Uptown, Chicago, and the Yak by an average of 7 points. They also have a win over the Frankettes from earlier in the season as well. They're top ranked across the board by the computers, fans, and have played the toughest schedule by far. ZD scores the 2nd most points per match in the league, but when they do miss, their opponents are not stealing ZD's questions. They're doing it at the 2nd lowest rate in the league, near flawless season, and that's why they're #1. They made back-to-back Final Fours, but yet to make the title match. And don't forget, this #1 seed might be a curse. No team ranked #1 with the #1 overall seed has ever made it to the championship match. They'll be taking on the winner of the 8-9 matchup, with the 8 seed being Chicago. They're back in the tournament for the first time since Season 2. Chief and White Sox Dave have played the most matches in league history without a playoff victory, losing to Smokin in Season 1 and being upset by 14-seeded Spittin' Chicklets in Season 2. Kelly Kings was signed in the offseason, and she has been an absolute force, averaging just under 9 points per match and finishing in the top 5, but she's going to need a lot more from White Sox Dave and Chief if they want to advance. Chicago is 57-4 in entertainment questions, which is movie, TV, music, celebrity mashup, but just 28-29 in sports-related questions. They'll be taking on the 9 seed, Smokin. That's right, a rematch of the Dozen Trivia Tournament 1 first-round matchup between these two teams back in 2021. It's been quite the roller coaster season for Mark Titus, Mincy, and Kenjack. They traded Mincy at one point, only for the trade to be reversed and have Mincy back on the team. But since that trade, which was sparked from Mincy giving away an answer, by the way, they've been pretty damn good, going 5-3-0, with their losses all being close to top teams. Solid team top to bottom, and let's not forget that Ben Mintz, hey, he's a champion. He won in Season 1. Let's move on from the New Amsterdam Vodka region down to the Portillo's region, where we have the #4 overall seed, the defending champions, Team Minahan. Kirk, the 3-time MVP, is back with Rico Bosco, looking to defend their crown alongside Hank Lockwood, and they get one of the coveted 4 byes right into the second round. This seed is obviously baked with a lot of controversy. Kirk was part of the deal worked out between the Dozen and the budding rival league, the Triv League, created by Dave Portnoy. In exchange for canceling his trade off his own team, Kirk accepted the automatic 4 seed, and then Dave Portnoy did fold the potential rival league, leaving the Dozen in the clear. Controversy aside, though, it's been a wacky season for Minahan. They finished 3-7-2, with their 9 losses being by just an average of about 2 points. They weren't great, but certainly better than their record indicates. Kirk also had a career high, averaging 9.09 points per match. And look at this. This is quite the shocking stat. Kirk is ranked 3rd in the league in scoring, and his teammates Hank and Rico are ranked 43rd and 47th out of 48 people in scoring, the biggest discrepancy between teammates in the league. And Rico's averaging almost 2 points less per match than in Season 3. If Minahan wants to repeat, they're going to need Rico to step up in Chicago. They'll be taking on the winner of the 5-12 matchup, and the 5 seed is, oh boy, the Experts. A potential rematch of last year's championship matches looming as Fran, Brandon, and PFT are victims of the automatic bye for Team Minahan. The Experts had their best winning percentage in franchise history and opened the year on an 8-match winning streak before hitting a few bumps in the road. They had the second easiest schedule in the league, which is obviously a product of how many matches they play. They play the most in the league, but they did go just 2-3-1 versus the top 8 teams in quads 1 and 2 in the league this season. With that said, Fran once again went a perfect 100% on our doubled up questions, and Brandon had his best season yet scoring-wise. The monkey is still firmly on their backs as they enter this tournament with 2 consecutive losses in championship matches. The first in Season 2 in overtime to Uptown Balls, and the last year in Round 12 to Team Minahan. Will this be the year they finally break through? First, they'll have to take down the 12 seed, a new team this year, the Ice Dogs, 3 rookies, NHL Ironman Keith Yandel, 2-time Super Bowl champion of the Patriots, David Andrews, and Marty Mush. Those guys helped this team to the 12 seed after a huge win or go-home play-in game victory over macrodosing earlier in the week. They've ended the year 3-2 in their last 5 matches after a pretty dismal start to the year, but have been propped up by a pretty great fan vote as well. We must note that. It'll be a tall task to keep their season alive as they take on the Experts, who actually blew their doors off already once this year, 18-7. Let's move on down the bracket to the Stella Blue region, where we see our 2 seed. The number 2 overall seed is the Yak. Last year's regular season champions lost earlier this evening to ZD in what was a pretty surprising blowout. But other than that, it's been a pretty great year once again for Big Cat, Roan, and Che. All 3 members are ranked in the top 20 of scoring throughout the season, with Che having his best season yet, averaging just under 8 points per match. The magic number for the Yak is 12. They were undefeated this season when scoring 12-plus points, going a perfect 7-0-0. They've made 2 Final Fours, but have yet to reach that coveted title match and have a shot at the championship. They'll be taking on the winner of the 7-10 matchup, which features the 7 seed, the Booze Ponies. What a season it has been for one of the fan favorite teams, the always electric Booze Ponies. They won their most matches yet with 7 and even held the number 1 ranking for 5 weeks before losing it to ZD. Only 1 of their 5 losses was by more than 3 points, and they've been right there in every match. All of their losses, too, have been to top-tier teams as well. The 5 teams they've lost to have lost only a combined 13 matches themselves and have combined to win almost 50 games. Fights has been fantastic. Dana just missed out on top 5 in scoring with 8.74 points per match. And as a team with Will Compton as stud captain, obviously, they steal the 4th most questions per match. They're a tough matchup for anyone, but so is this 10 seed they have to face. A very tough draw for the Ponies as they'll be taking on the 10 seed Gen XYZ. Large, Vibs, and Jake Marsh have tons of tournament experience, making the Final Four in Season 1 and upsetting 2 seed Team Minahan as a 15 seed in Season 2. XYZ scores the 3rd most points per match in the league, and check this out. They set a dozen record by stealing nearly 80% of their opponents' misses this season. They grabbed 30 out of 38 potential steals. Insane. But guess what? They only went 4-5-2. Their 7 losses this season were by an average of just 1.5 points per loss. That's nuts. Do not let their record deceive you. This team is a force. And finally, let's move over to the BodyArmor region, where we will find out who gets the 3 seed and the final bye. Let's reveal it backwards. Got to have a little bit of drama. The 11 seed will be the Season 1 champion, Big Screamin' Honkers. It's been a wacky season for Clemmer, Gia, and Bob Fox. A former champion of the show, Bob Fox, mind you. 1 year removed from being upset as a 6th seed in the tournament, they're looking to get a little bit of revenge. This season, they failed to win back-to-back matches at any point, but have strong wins, twice over Gen XYZ and 1 over Uptown Balls. Can they put it all together in the tournament? The 3 seed in the region, the final bye, though, goes to Frank and the Frankettes. That's right, the most decorated team in show history without a championship sneaks in for the final bye, thanks in large part to a strong fan vote, a great season, and the most accurate season in the history of the show. Nick, Frank, and KB smashed the record set by the Experts last year, hitting a whopping 83% of their questions this year. All 3 members are ranked for the first time in the top 15 in scoring, with KB having a career best year, finishing top 10 scoring and going a perfect 100% on his doubled up geography questions, as well as not missing a single niche question either. They also, with celebrity guest Gary Vaynerchuk, won the Las Vegas live event, beating the Experts and the Yak. Their 2 losses this season came to ZD and Uptown Balls. Last season, the Frankettes beat Gen XYZ in the first round as a 5 seed, but lost to eventual champion Team Minahan in overtime in the second round. They've made just one Final Four, doing so in Season 2, but have yet to make the championship match. If any team knows about the 1 seed curse, by the way, it's the Frankettes. Happened to them in Season 1 and Season 2. And finally, that means the 6 seed taking on the 11-seeded Honkers in the first round is Uptown Balls. The Season 2 champions slipped a bit in the fan vote, which puts them just below the experts and into the 6 seed slot. Both their computer and fan ranking are just a hair behind them, but this team has been a juggernaut this season, going 8-1-0 after an early 2-1-1 start and winning their last 5 matches, entering the tournament, the longest active win streak in the league. This season, they've become just the second team ever to have 2 players finish top 5 in scoring, with both Glennie and Tommy doing so. Balls finished second in scoring to Eddie with 9.44 points per match, and is now one of only 3 people to average over 9 points per match in a season. Under the radar as well as Smitty having one of his better seasons too. The former champions have an impressive resume with wins over the Frankettes, Chicago, Minahan, Smockin, the Experts, and the Booze Ponies. Is Uptown Balls underseeded? Quite possibly. They were in Season 2 as well. They were a 10 seed, and now they find themselves with a slightly harder path to the Final Four. So let's take a look at the last 4 teams into the tournament. The 9 seed Smockin, the 10 seed Gen XYZ, the 11 seed Honkers. None of those 3 teams were ever in danger of missing the tournament. The Honkers obviously as well got an automatic berth into the tournament as one of the former champions from the last 3 years. And it's a 12 seed, the Ice Dogs, as the final team in the field. When it was all said and done, they finished above Macrodosing thanks to their top 10 fan vote finish after beating them in the play-in game. Macrodosing is indeed the first team left out of the field. As I mentioned, they missed out despite what was a strong season. Mad Dog up for most improved candidate of the year. So is Arian Foster. And this team was 4-2 at one point, but a 4-match slide to end the season sunk them, and they missed out on the tournament by just 1 spot. Flux, which have changed their team mid-season, comes in at 14, followed by another new team of rookies this year, Gas Soldiers. And then your mom ends up 16th with their historic 0-9-0 season, losing 10 straight matches since their round 1 tournament win last year. And let's take a look at those top 4 seeds. Again, the number 1 seed is ZD, who's trying to break the curse of the 1 seed and become the first regular season champion to also win the tournament championship. They're looking for a 3rd straight Final Four. The 2 seed is the Act, 3 seed is the Frankettes, both looking to finally break through and make a championship match. And the 4 seed is Team Minahan as they embark on a quest to become the first ever back-to-back champions. Let's take one last wide look at the bracket now, where it's the 1 seed ZD taking on the winner of 8 vs 9 Chicago and Smockin in the New Amsterdam Vodka region. Then the 4 seed Team Minahan taking on the winner of the Experts, the 5 seed, and the Ice Dogs, the 12 seed in the Portillo's region. The 3 seed Frankettes in the BodyArmor region taking on the winner of 6 seed Uptown Balls against 11 seed the Big Screamin' Honkers. And finally, in the Stella Blue region, the 2 seed The Act takes on the winner of the Booze Ponies, the 7 seed, and Gen XYZ, the 10. And now it's finally time to hand out our end-of-season awards voted on by you, the fans. 3rd team all-dozen this year. It's Large from Gen XYZ. Fights makes his first all-dozen team for the Booze Ponies. Nick Tarani from the Frankettes, once again all-dozen. Roan from the Yak, and Clem from ZD. 2nd team all-dozen. Fran, the expert star and all-star leading vote getter, once again making an all-dozen team, followed by Dana B of the Booze Ponies, Steve Che of the Yak. Brandon Walker makes another all-dozen team for the Experts. And finally, KB with a great season just misses out on 1st team. He's 2nd team all-dozen for the Frankettes. 1st team all-dozen, once again, Kirk Minahan for the 4th time ends up 1st team all-dozen, the only person to have that title. Glennie Balls makes his first team all-dozen, along with his Uptown Balls teammate Tommy Smokes. Kelly Keegs, also a first-timer here with a big year for Chicago. And Eddie grabs his 2nd straight appearance as a 1st team all-dozen member for ZD. Now on to the individual awards. Last year's Sportsman of the Year, Jack McCarthy, for sportsmanship and lack of complaining, got a chance to award this year's recipient, and he chose himself. That's right. Congratulations to Jack McCarthy on becoming back-to-back Sportsman of the Year in the dozen. We're also awarding Defensive Player of the Year for the first time this year to whoever leads the league in steals, and that goes to both KB and Nick of the Frankettes. They tied atop the lead with 2.17 steals per match over the course of the season. Now we move on to the Most Improved Player of the Year award. Our nominees are, first up, Mad Dog from Macrodosing. Had a fantastic year, averaging just under a full point more than she had last year. Her teammate Arian Foster, also a nominee, averaging 1.41 points per match more than in Season 3. Steve Che of the Yak also nominated, as he once again was dominant this season for his squad. Two Booze Ponies round out the nominees with Fights, who improved his average by 1.26 points per match, and Dana B, who improved his points per match by 1.57 points and almost finished top 5 in scoring. And the winner is Dana B of the Booze Ponies. Landslide victory for Dana, and the Booze Pony star player adds a little hardware before the tournament. Now on to the Rookie of the Year nominees. They're from just two teams. Gaza Soldiers has two nominees. First up, it's Caroline, who averaged 3.6 points per match in her first season for Gaza Soldiers, followed by Mook, who averaged 3.52 points per match himself. Gaza Soldiers was close in a lot of matches this year, but only scraped out one win. Then all three Ice Dogs are nominated for Rookie of the Year. First up, Marty Mush, the captain of the expansion team, which squeaked into the tournament field. Had a couple of big matches towards the end of the season to help them get in. Also, not to roast Marty, some horrible answers as well in the bonus round. David Andrews filled in for hot dog eating champion Joey Chestnut, and the two-time Super Bowl champion ended up becoming a permanent member of the team. And finally, Keith Yandel, the man who played the second most consecutive matches in NHL history, averaged 4.38 points per match this season. And the winner of Rookie of the Year is Keith Yandel, the Iron Man, the three-time NHL All-Star, can add some hardware to his trophy cabinet with a dozen Rookie of the Year honor. It's worth noting, two of the three Rookie of the Year winners were hockey players. Shout out to NCAA champion of Denver, Rudy Junda. Captain of the Year time now. Remember, the winner of Captain of the Year last year was Dave Portnoy, becomes the head of the Captains and Players Association in the dozen, with the runner-up becoming the vice captain. The nominees are Dave Portnoy of ZD, Will Compton from the Booze Ponies, Big Cat from the Yak, Chief from Chicago, Kirk from Team Minahan, Nick Tarani of the Frankettes, and Smitty of Uptown Balls. It was a close vote, but Dave Portnoy did not recapture the title this year. As Big Cat wins Captain of the Year, he will now serve as head of the Captains Association with his vice captain, once again, Will Compton, who comes in second place for the second straight season. And finally, it's MVP time. The candidates for MVP are Kirk Minahan. He came into the season with 3 straight MVP awards and at a career high with 9.09 points per match, and he accounts for an absurd 79% of all points scored by Team Minahan, the most in the league. Dana B, also nominated for the most improved player. He won it. We just mentioned that a minute ago. Is up for MVP as well. Averaged 8.45 points per match on the season and grabs this nomination. Kelly Keegs nominated for MVP with an 8.89 points per match average and helped Chicago go 57-4 in entertainment questions over the course of the season. Glennie Balls also grabs a nomination, scoring a massive 9.44 points per match for an Uptown Balls team that had a fantastic season. And finally, Eddie, he set the all-time scoring record at 9.92 points per match. He's nominated for the second straight season, a season in which ZD won the regular season title. And the MVP is Eddie. That is right. The first person not named Kirk to win MVP is Eddie, and it makes sense after his historic record-breaking season. He just beat out Glennie Balls on the final day of voting, winning by less than 1,000 votes. It was very close, but Eddie comes back and wins the MVP award. That's it for the selection special. The bracket is locked, and the Dozen Trivia Tournament 4 starts in just over a week on June 17th with matches live every single day for the first time ever. No tape delay, all live matches, and it culminates at the Riviera in Chicago on June 20th for our Final Four event where we crown our next champion. Thank you, as always, for watching. Without you, the fans, this show is absolutely nothing. We're a week away from the tournament. Cannot wait. We will see you there.